the technology these days is a lot of AI in it, and AI is driven by data, and data is typically personal. A lot of people don't realize what they give away, and there was also a tangential reference to scams, etc. So a lot of this comes down to the ethical approach to AI, and that's kind of what I wanted to quickly focus on. So AI is a lot like the six blind men and the elephant. Everybody understands it differently. Some people call it data, some people call it tech, some people just say chat GPT, but at the end of the day, nobody sees ethics in it. And that figures me a few years ago when I had a lot of hair. But I think the point I'm trying to make here really is that this is kind of what AI really is. There's a whole bunch of data that you acquire, and then you add other data onto it, and then you do what's called data engineering, which is you explore what data you have, you clean it up, you engineer it a little bit, and then you plug it into your different AI models, and then you figure out what are the results and whether it makes sense. And all of that is governed by, there is an ethical unit, there is a business, there is change, legal, cybersecurity, privacy, etc. Everything is fantastic, but I think the bit on the left that everybody kind of tends to forget or ignore is, what is all of this for? I mean, if you're talking in the world of business, then there is a certain value you want from it. If you're talking about it, for example, from age tech or impact, there's a purpose. So the idea is right up front, make sure that you understand what you're doing it for. And a lot of the ethical aspects get driven from that. If you understand what good looks like, then you know how to be good, while achieving that. So I think very quickly the next bit about AI really is the whole different types of AI. I mean, we hear a lot of machine learning, which is fundamentally thousands and millions of data sets that are used and processed. And you have things like fraud detection for seniors. You have natural language processing, which is algorithms that actually read language, and a lot of chatbots and care documentation and summaries and everything come from that. You have computer vision, which is your video calling, your facial recognition. Hannah talked about surveillance. A lot of it comes from this. Obviously, you have audio and speech. And I think Padmaja referred to assistive technologies. There is a lot of living companions, illness detections based on the tone and the tenor of how people speak and what they speak. You also have these days a lot of predictive analysis based on emotional detection. So if there is a slightly stressed tone in the voice, we do that when we speak to somebody. We say, "Hey, are you okay? You're sounding ill." That's effectively what the algorithm does. Yeah. The last bit is this generative AI that everybody's heard about. Chat GPT, blah blah blah. The reason I put it at the end is Chat GPT is just a small bit right now, but there's a whole bunch of AI, in addition to that. But what is really important from our context today is those three blue boxes. There's a ton of expert systems down there, which is looking at telemedicine, telehealth. I think Padmaja talked of care at place, care at home. There's a lot of AI that gets used in that. On the top right is this whole assistive technology ecosystem. Somebody talked of detecting falls. There are sensors that detect and adjust lighting, air conditioning, quality of air, pollution. There is a lot of robotic assistants that are there. Japan is full of actual active robots that operate in elder care. And on the left is this whole box of, there are AI models, which then lead to applications, which then have what they call AI agents. And then you have agentic AI. I'm not going to get into all the details of it because partly I also don't understand it fully. But this whole bit of AI agents and agentic is extremely scary because they actually do things by themselves. And even in the best of times, we as humans do not understand it well enough. Typically, vulnerable segments or elderly people really cannot understand what's happening. So the reason I've put this slide is just to understand that we talk of AI as if it's one homogeneous mass. Actually, it's not. There's tons and tons of individual stuff, and many of these are combined and pulled together to create a solution. And it's unfair to expect elders to understand how it operates and what the dangers are. So I think there is a lot of importance about AI literacy and AI education about what to do and what not to do using all of these technologies. Yeah? So I'll just move forward. This is a complex slide, but I'll just the two things you need to take out of it, the two underlined bits on the top. One is the informal mode, which is stuff that you and I use at home. This could be ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude. We use it to generate videos. That is enormous risk because all of us is sharing our personal data, our photographs, everything, and God knows what that photograph is being used for. I don't know if any of you have read about Elon Musk's Grok system that had a semi-pornographic AI girlfriend that was spouting, rubbish. Now all of that is trained on pictures and text, etc. And I think it's scary. It could go anywhere. The other bit on the right is what's called the formal or the mainstream mode of AI, which is stuff that gets used in corporate scenarios, etc. Again, there's a bunch of risk there, but being corporates, they take care of it. There are a bunch of business trade-offs and the existing systems that are exposed, the cybersecurity, data privacy, etc. So this is the really important slide I wanted to focus on, which is here are the risks and the issues with using AI today, right? All of us are using AI, whether we know or not, whether we want or not. We are sharing data and something's happening to it. Now, the whole point is some of that data is poor quality, incomplete, inaccurate, but we are sharing it. There's a ton of bias, discrimination, toxicity, and harm, social harm in content. I mean, there are a bunch of legal suits going on in the US today, where you have these AI startups that have actually ruined the lives of teenagers. Similarly, Dr. Lakshmi talked about how people are getting elderly and the number of elderly people. Imagine if they are now exposed to the systems and they don't understand it, they will be influenced by this whether they want to or not. Ton of human right violations in terms of loss of agency. And I'll come to that. And I'll share this, but all of these issues are very much live today and they are going to get worse. Again, not to be a doomsday, but these are there, right? If anyone wants to look at the MIT AI risk repository, please take a look at it. Some of it is scary, but some of it is educative. And it'll take you some time to understand it, but please do. Yeah. Uh, the way you govern AI is changing now, where you, from a business or a purpose point of view, you understand what you need to do, why you're doing it, what are the business processes, and then you have cybersecurity and data, right? And underlying all of that is infrastructure. But what's very often completely, I mean, slightly lesser focused on is the whole ethics and compliance bit of it, right? There's a whole bunch of work around responsible AI, which is to make sure that AI is as unbiased as possible. It is fair, it is safe, it is explainable, i.e., if my insurance premium jumped by 75% this year, even though nothing changed, why is it? Why did the algorithm suddenly decide that I'm a terrible risk when I was an okay risk last year and I haven't had an accident? So all this is because the AI, in its infinite wisdom, has determined that my parameters judge me to be a risk. There's another box down below which is human centric. And that is an increasingly important area specifically for our context today, because it is human agency, human involvement. It's called human in the loop. We wouldn't want the AI to take decisions on our behalf without us being involved. But if I am an elderly gent, I am unable to make the decision. So this either robot or the AI system makes the decision for me. Now, is that good? I don't know. It depends. Yeah. So taking a step back, what are the factors to be considered in AI being applied in a smart city context for vulnerable segments? We talk a lot about connectivity infrastructure, but can is it affordable? Especially elderly people, can they pay for it? If they can't pay for it, who can? Right? What's the security and logistical arrangements? I mean, I my mom is 85 years old. She lives in Mumbai. I've not got her broadband because she says, God knows who's going to come to my house now, ring my bell in the morning and say, I've come to adjust your broadband. And she says, I don't know who it is. So look at the security risks of that. Human agency, lack of control, uh, intimidation by tech. My mom can barely use the mobile. She says, "Oh, those Nokia mobiles were fantastic. I just needed to press buttons." Yeah, but that's gone now, right? And the whole thing of reducing human interaction and hence intensifying social isolation, I think that is huge, and that is something that AI tends to magnify. I think digital literacy was mentioned a few times, and that is huge, particularly among vulnerable segments and the elderly. Cognitive decline, I think that's massive. And at the other end of the spectrum, that's the dementia element we talk about. And there is also a generational pushback. Because I don't understand it, I don't want to look at it. Right. And I come up with all kinds of excuses to say why it doesn't make sense for me. And last but not the least is this I know best stuff. I mean, I have brought you up, don't tell me what I should be doing. Many times but the driver for that is I'm intimidated by all this new stuff. So all this I think is driven by digital literacy, digital familiarity. And data being compromised is another huge problem. We don't realize the amount of data we share. So I think there has to be some mechanism for data ownership to be secured. Informed consent is just not possible, right? If you're old and you don't know what to do, I mean, I do that to my mom. I just call her and say, Mom, do this. I mean, there's no question of asking her, do you want to do this? Just do it. Now, what if an AI system tells you or a robot tells you that? You don't know where that goes. Discrimination is huge because a lot of AI models lack the data about elderly or vulnerable segments. So they just don't understand what conclusions to draw for them. Bias is very, very high. Again, lack of data. And last but not the least, I think, Hannah, you talked of the financial involvement. I mean, end of the day, all of this is fantastic, but who's going to pay for it? Right? Because it takes a lot of money to research it, to implement it, to maintain it, to update it. Who's going to pay for it? Is it government? Is it individuals? There's no earning capacity left as you grow older. So I think those are the sort of important factors. This is a lot of text, so I'm not going to walk through everything, but to my mind, if we are going to create a ethical AI framework for vulnerable segments, I think these are the six or four or five categories that we need to be considering. Now, how do we overlay that with either smart cities or urban infrastructure planning is, I think, the challenge. Because what I've put down there is common sense. Everybody knows that this is what is needed. How do you overlay that with city planning, with age tech, with elderly, centers? I think this kind of a framework of pulling something together with different skill sets, I think that would be vital for that. So I'm going to share this with you folks. So I'll just move away from that. The last slide I had is I work a lot with AI in the business space, and these are the kind of use cases that we put for different factors of business, yeah, finance, HR, procurement, etc. Where is it for age tech? Where is it for vulnerable segments? What is it? I tried to put it together and I kind of stopped in one row. I'm sure it exists, but I think it makes a lot of sense for people to actually sit down, collaborate, and actually put these down. And Dr. Lakshmi, you talked of having hackathons. I think we could identify 10 things out here, give it to the younger folks. I'm sure they'll come up with some very smart ideas and solutions. And more importantly, and make sure that they are actually into the implementation mode. There are either VCs or something out there who can fund it. And I think that would be really a useful way to use tech. And that was it. So I don't know if this has been helpful. I'm a bit of an AI geek, but I just wanted to put it down as to how AI and age tech and ethics, kind of overlap. Thank you.